They say invading Afghanistan is easy. The British have done it, so have the Soviets and the Americans. But getting out, well, that's the tough part. Afghan withdrawals are always violent and bloody. So America has gone a different route. They're making a dash for it. Overnight, the US abandoned their biggest military base in Afghanistan, Bagram. For 20 years, it was the seat of American power in Afghanistan when US presidents wanted to feel like commanders-in-chief. This is where they came. Bagram has a special place in American history, but the troop pullout was anything but special. Local officials say that they were not even informed. The Americans picked up their bags, called it a night, and left unannounced.
According to the information that we have, American forces left Bagram Air Base last night without any coordination with District Administrative Office, the Governor's Office, and other relevant administrations. This has not been officially coordinated and reported to us. But from the ground, we get this information from the situation in the area.
So who's in charge now? Bagram has been turned over to the Afghan military. This was the scene today morning. No American or NATO troops at the gate. Instead, there were Afghan soldiers. Now, this is a huge moment in this war because Afghanistan's history runs parallel to Bagram's. In the 1980s, it was used by the Soviet troops. In the late 1990s, it was contested by the Taliban and the Northern Alliance. And in 2001, the NATO took over Bagram. What they found was a rundown compound destroyed by rocket attacks. Today, it is a sprawling mini-city. Bagram is spread over 70 square kilometers. Inside, there are 2 airstrips, 3 large hangars, a 50-bed hospital, gyms, restaurants, grocery stores. It's basically a township, the jewel of Afghan military power. The question is, what happens to this jewel now? The Taliban will definitely be eyeing it. Capturing Bagram would be a win on 2 counts. 1, the symbolism of taking over a former American base. And 2, the strategic value of Bagram. It is a fortress just 40 kilometers north of Kabul. So chances are the Taliban will be drawing up plans. And the Americans seem to have foreseen this. In the last few weeks, they have been cleaning up the base. Some equipment was handed over to the Afghans. Some were taken back to America, and anything that was not on the plane was trashed. Why? So that it doesn't fall into the hands of the Taliban. And looking at where things are going, it was a good call. This last month, the month of June, was the deadliest in 2 decades, 20 years. The Afghan army says that they have killed 6,000 Taliban terrorists and evacuated 120 districts. This is all in 1 month. What about the other side? Reports show 638 servicemen and civilians were killed, plus 1,060 wounded. Looking at these numbers, you have to wonder, is this a looming civil war? Or has it already started? Because on the ground, a battle is underway. And that's because the Taliban has not changed. They don't care about democracy or peace. They want power. And if they return to Kabul, it will be a repeat of 1996. Make no mistake, there is evidence for what I'm saying. Activists in northeast Afghanistan are reporting worrying news. They say the Taliban is imposing new laws. Men are being asked to grow beards. Women are not being allowed to leave their house unaccompanied. Dowry rules have been set for marriage. And they're insisting on trial without evidence. In fairness, these are not new rules. These are old ones, the same rules that the Taliban imposed the last time. For now, they're limited to certain pockets. But what if the Taliban overruns provinces? What if it reaches Kabul? All the gains made in the last 2 decades could be lost. And that's what 20 years of Western occupation has given Afghanistan. Their presence made the country relatively safe and free, and now their rushed exit is set to reverse all of that. Somewhere along the line, the coalition lost its way. Let me tell you a story from December 2001. America flew in New York City firefighters and cops to the Bagram Air Base. It was a symbolic mission. They buried a piece of the World Trade Center below the Bagram airstrip. That was America's mission in Afghanistan, to find Osama bin Laden and to root out terrorism. 20 years later, they're leaving those same terrorists in charge. Their military campaign was a failure, and America tried to hide this failure by piling more troops. At its peak, you must listen to this, Bagram hosted 100,000 American soldiers. It featured in pop culture, in books and Hollywood movies. All that posturing and bravado only to flee in the middle of the night. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.